Another injury that is just decimating the Indiana Fever has become really the second biggest star on the Indiana Fever. I think that perhaps we've lost the plot with regard to what's going on with this Indiana Fever team. Glad that she didn't hurt herself doing that. That'd be a bad way to blow out a knee. I think that is a bad look. I understand why Sophie Cunningham has become a big deal. Just don't think that that's the representation that you really want to give yourself. This is the Ricky Cobb Show, presented by Prize Picks. Preseason football underway, my friends, and college football is knocking on our door. Make sure that you head over to Prize Picks. Don't miss any of the action this season. It's going to make football more fun than it's ever been for you, my friends. The WNBA and another injury that is just decimating the Indiana Fever. They've already been without Caitlin Clark for 22 of their 35 games this season, and we are awaiting the results of an MRI after Sophie Cunningham went down yesterday with a knee injury. The play occurred when Bria Hartley of the Connecticut Sun rolled into her knee, and it was one of those plays almost like you see a quarterback take sometimes. Side of her knee, she hopped over and went down on the ground, obviously writhing in pain there. And we don't know the extent of the injury yet, but we do know that Sophie Cunningham has become really the second biggest star on the Indiana Fever since she defended Caitlin Clark. A lot of you will remember it occurred against the same Connecticut Sun team that this injury did, where she administered some rough justice, is what I've called it on the program before. She took up for Caitlin Clark when we were all looking for somebody to do that, and she became a rising star. Some people would say the second biggest star in the league right now, despite the fact that she's really a good role player. She came off the bench for most of the season. She's been starting recently with Caitlin Clark out of the lineup. She's a glue guy. She's a glue gal, I guess is what we would call it in the WNBA. And her presence, if she's out of the lineup, is definitely going to affect this Indiana Fever team. There's no doubt about it. Sophie is a 7-year veteran in the WNBA, played for the Phoenix Mercury her entire career until this season. You'd never heard of her, probably, unless you're a hardcore women's basketball fan. I'll just be honest with you. I'm not. I wasn't. I'd never heard of her until this season. Now, Sophie is obviously capitalizing on the opportunity that has been presented to her. Being Caitlin Clark's teammate, finding herself in that position. She's gone out, Instagram, social media. She's got a new podcast now. She's certainly not afraid to be spicy, if we'll call it that. She's twerked when they won the Commissioner's Cup. Some of you might remember in the locker room. She posts videos of herself very scantily clad on social media. We've seen some of the outfits that she's arrived to the arena in during the pregame fashion show that has become such a big deal in modern times. But this goes to a different level. I want you to take a look at this. She posted this on her social media recently. And this is Sophie Cunningham twerking while I don't know who that is in the background. Her friend cheers her on. Glad that she didn't hurt herself doing that. That'd be a bad way to blow out a knee. Right there in the middle of the fucking mall. While you're twerking. Look, she's in the middle of a mall. You can see the people walking around. There's probably kids in there. And I'm just going to be honest here and say, I think that is a bad look. I'd be fucking mortified if one of my daughters, I got 5 daughters. I'd be mortified if any of them went out in public and acted like that in the middle of the mall. Why do you need to do that? And I'm no prude. Believe me, I'm not. Anybody that knows me will tell you. I'm pretty hard to offend and I'm hard to shock. But what the hell is that in the middle of a mall dancing like it? So Sophie Cunningham turned 29 years old on Saturday. In less than a year, she's going to be 30 years old. and she's there in the mall shaking her ass around in front of everybody just to get some likes and approval on social media. The players in the WNBA complain a lot about not being taken seriously. And they're not taken seriously. All of the dildos being thrown on the court. I mean, there's a sentence that I didn't think that I was going to say at the beginning of the year. All of the mockery that goes on. And yet you contribute to it when you do that. You are a nearly 30-year-old, 7-year veteran of the highest level of basketball that is available to women. And you're going to go out to the local mall wearing booty shorts, and you're going to do that. It wouldn't be cute if you were 16. And yes, it's eye candy. But I just don't think that that's the representation that you really want to give yourself, or that you want to give the WNBA, especially if you're trying to convince people that it's more than a TNA show. And I don't know why Sophie Cunningham thinks that's a good idea. Is she not getting enough validation and recognition in other places? Perhaps not. Evidently, if Angel Reese had done that, she would have gotten absolutely destroyed online everywhere, and she would have richly deserved it. So I got to call it like I see it. Sophie, I like you, but you're almost 30 years old. You're a grown-ass woman. Make better decisions than acting trashy at the local mall, will you? Maybe one day you'll get a statue if you behave yourself. In fact, you know what? I think Sophie Cunningham maybe does deserve a stat. Like, look at that. That's the Sophie Cunningham that I want to celebrate. The one that's out there fouling chicks that are trying to take the ball to the rim. Sue Bird just got the first statue in the history of the WNBA. I nominate Sophie Cunningham taking down J.C. Sheldon of the Connecticut Sun as the second statue in WNBA history. And, you know, just not a statue of her twerking. Please. But now, my friends, Prize Picks is simple to play. That was Sue Bird's statue, by the way. There it was. Let's take another look at it. Go ahead. Let's see Sue Bird's statue. This is Sue Bird's moment in the sun. There she is. Mrs. Rapinoe has a statue. Won't be the last WNBA statue. Get ready, my friends. They're coming. We're going to have the next decade. There's going to be statues of women's basketball players that you've never even fucking heard of. They're going to be popping up all over this country like zits on a 14-year-old boy. But second, Prize Picks. Simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections. And, I think we've all got opinions, don't we? As I look ahead at this NFL season, I'm thinking about how many yards Saquon Barkley's going to rush for. I'm thinking about how many touchdown passes Burrow and Mahomes and Allen might throw for. And, well, you can take that knowledge now and put it to good use at Prize Picks. If you get your picks right, you can cash in, win up to 2,000 times your money. My friends, Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. It's not going to eat up your day. Turn your sports opinions into real money on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code Ricky. That's RICKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's as simple as that. Just use code Ricky and you'll get $50 in lineups to use after playing your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. We've lost the plot with regard to what's going on with this Indiana Fever team, and I realized that when I was reading an article at ESPN.com written by Alexa Philippou. All right, the Fever came back from a 21-point deficit, defeated the Connecticut Sun 99-93 in overtime, and here you see the story about Sophie Cunningham being injured. And certainly Sophie Cunningham being injured is a story. We're talking about it right now, and there's good reason to report on that. That is a significant story. But as I was going through the article, I realized that it took until the 9th paragraph before Kelsey Mitchell was mentioned for scoring 38 points in the game, including 34 after halftime, to lead the Indiana Fever's furious comeback from 21 points down. And I got to thinking about how this Indiana Fever season has been framed, including how it's been framed at times here on this show. We have heard so much about Caitlin Clark. Well, look, I understand that. She is going to cast a shadow over the league even when she's out of action, and she's been out of action for 2/3 of the season now. Nancy Lieberman, who a lot of people think she's the greatest female basketball player of all time. She was certainly the most famous when I was a kid. And she is in the news now because, well, she threw some shade at former NBA player, NBA All-Star, I will add, one-time All-Star. This becomes important in a moment. Jeff Teague. And let's take a listen here. Jeff Teague making the argument that Caitlin Clark might not be the most valuable player on the Indiana Fever. And Nancy Lieberman not just taking exception, she made it a little personal.
I don't agree with Jeff Teague, who I read something today said that, Caitlin Clark, well, she's just a good player. She's not a great player. Jeff.
He said that? She good, but she not that good.
I love you. You weren't a great player.
Wait.
Okay? You were serviceable. I know you made the All-Star team one time.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. If we're going to if we're going to be honest, I'm happy for your career.
We won't out.
Jeff, my guy.
Damn.
But you tripping. Caitlin's great. She got
She is great.
Serviceable. See, here's the thing, Nancy, and look, great player. I'm happy to listen to Nancy Lieberman's opinions on basketball. And look, anybody who acknowledges that Caitlin Clark is a great player, I'm already inclined to be on your side, but I'm going to defend Jeff Teague on this one. Because first of all, he's entitled to his opinion, and his opinion as of today that Kelsey Mitchell is a better player than Caitlin Clark might not be wrong. It might not be wrong. Caitlin Clark is not shooting well at all. Under 40% from the field, under 30% from three-point range, and that's in the slightly more than 1/3 of the Fever's games that she's appeared in. Kelsey Mitchell is 4th in the league in scoring, and there's a reason they're 19-16, and it can't be because of a player who has played 13 games. I'm sorry. It can't be. It's Kelsey Mitchell, and it's Aaliyah Boston, 1 and 2 this year in terms of value for the Indiana Fever. Partly because availability is one of the most important abilities, and secondly, you're talking about a player who's averaging over 20 a game and shooting 38% from three. So while I don't think that Kelsey Mitchell, when all is said and done, she's an 8-year veteran. She's averaged 17 points a game. 38% three-point shooter, not just for this year, but for her entire career. That's impressive. That's a resume. Caitlin Clark has played 1 1/3 seasons to this point. It's not crazy to say that Kelsey Mitchell is better today than Caitlin Clark. I don't think you'll be able to say that and it be defensible in a year or two. I think Caitlin Clark is still going to go on and have an incredible career. I think she's going to win the MVP award at least once, if not multiple times in her career before she's done. But the thing that bugs me about it is not their difference of opinion, but the fact that she goes after him as being serviceable. Your opinion is apparently disqualified in Nancy Lieberman's opinion if you don't have the resume of being an all-time great player. Nancy Lieberman was an all-time great player, but she was who were you playing against, Nancy? I mean, Jeff Teague's been to more NBA All-Star games than you have. Go play one-on-one in the driveway with him. See how serviceable he is. But it doesn't matter. A lot of the greatest analysts in sports are not all-time greats. They're not all multi-time All-Stars. A lot of them never even played the game. I'm happy to listen to Bob Costas talk about sports. I'm happy to listen to Tim Kirkjian talk about baseball and on down the line. So it's a bogus argument, in my opinion. Now, speaking of not knowing about sports or knowing about sports, sometimes you could play in the WNBA and apparently not understand sports hardly at all, as we just found out when ESPN's Monica McNutt, former WNBA player, welcomed the, I don't know what the fuck he is, I'm too old, Drewski to ESPN, and she suddenly became confused when he wore a Barry Sanders jersey.
All right, so the jersey. Let's get into it because obviously this ties to one Shador Sanders who balled out in his first preseason game.
No. This is Barry Sanders.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Barry Sanders. But the tie, the tie is the Sanders. Bear with me. Bear with me. But let's get into Shador because appropriate that you're also a fan there, right?
Let's talk about that Shador Sanders jersey you're wearing. That's a Lions number 2. She's either never heard of Barry Sanders or that is a brain fart of such epic proportions that I cannot begin to explain it. I liked ESPN better when they hired people that knew a lot about sports, didn't you? I also liked ESPN better when they hired people and their job was to go out and talk about sports 100% of the time, rather than push whatever the agendas are that are important over there at what at least used to be the worldwide leader. Who's the Major League home run leader, by the way, Tim? Do you know who the Major League home run leader is?
Raleigh.
It's not Shohei Ohtani. Yeah,
Big,
it's not Aaron
big
Judge.
dumper.
It's Cal Raleigh, the catcher, the backstop of the Seattle Mariners, and the man who is known as Big Dumper. And, well, when you're known as Big Dumper, I guess pretty soon it's inevitable that you're going to be signing toilet seats for children.
Good for him to do it, man, right? No PR guy jumped in, right? Like, screw it. I'm going to sign a toilet bowl seat.
Somebody brought him a toilet seat. I hope that they went home and took a shit on that. And I don't mean that as anything derogatory towards Cal Raleigh. I just mean, isn't that the logical thing to do? Take a dump.
The reality is,
Raleigh
Ricky, if that game isn't at a small little league field, that dude never gets the toilet seat in a major league stadium.
That's right. I tried taking a toilet seat into, I was going to say Wrigley Field one time. I don't know. I've never taken a toilet seat anywhere other than maybe home from the store. When I was purchasing one, Tim. Never thought about having somebody sign one. But
not even one of the velour ones that you've tweeted. Not even one of the velour ones that you tweeted about.
Well, you can't. Sharpie just doesn't take to that stuff. The ones that look like Muppets. That's how you protect that. By the way, you protect that toilet seat by putting one of those 1970s style rugs that your grandma liked to have everywhere in the house, including on the toilet. I don't know. That's what I think. Tim, what are we doing, Tim?
Let's stick with baseball. As if you didn't hate Rob Manfred enough, Ricky.
Lord.
Yeah, this guy.
Don't get me. I know the story. You want me to do, Tim.
Let's give a listen.
Do it reluctantly.
Yeah, let's give a listen. Let's listen to what he had to say.
All right.
This is Rob Manfred.
It provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for, entities like ESPN, because you'd be playing up out of the East, out of the West, and that 10 o'clock time slot where we, sometimes get Boston, Anaheim.
Let's put that toilet seat around his neck. Horse collar him with that fucking thing. Can we? Listen, Bud Selig, I'm sorry. I thought that you were a terrible commissioner. It turns out that I just didn't have an appropriate frame of reference to understand. I'm not saying that you're great. I haven't done a 180 on you, Bud. But I will say that I would take you every day of the week and twice on Sunday over this guy. Can we just change everything about baseball? Rob Manfred is a guy who thinks that there's nothing wrong with baseball except every fucking thing. And I have come around on some of the changes that have been made to baseball. I think speeding the game up with the pitch clock, even though I don't like looking at a clock, I think that clearly has been a good move. The games now have retained a much snappier pace, even with all the strikeouts that we see. They shaved over a half an hour off of the average game time. I think that has been proven successful. I'm even starting to get used to the ghost runner, man on second, to start extra innings. Now, I don't think I'm ever going to be a fan of it, but I'm starting to warm up to it a little bit. Banning the shift, I think that was a good idea. Making the bases bigger did not appeal to me as an idea, but it does have guys running more. So I think the desired effect has been achieved. That probably was a decent idea. I think limiting pickoff throws was maybe the best idea of all of them, because I never understood why a pitcher should be allowed to stand out there and make 10 throws over to first base. You want to talk about boring? The robot umps are coming. I'm even warming up to that a little bit, because when I watch these games now, I've begun to understand why umpires themselves, at least many of them, are in favor of the automated ball strike system. Because, man, could you imagine having somebody watch you with a microscope all day long when you're at work, and they clearly point out every time you fuck up? When you're behind the plate, what are there, about 250 pitches in a major league game? Every mistake that you make gets pointed out. So all of these changes, for the most part, I think baseball's done good. Theo Epstein, credit to him for many of those, among whoever else was involved. But this right here is a bridge too far, and I'm going to look at the words here of our friend Howie Rose. Howie says, this is what I've been telling you is inevitable for quite a while now. The American League, which was established in 1901, the junior circuit, as it is sometimes called, and the National League, 1876. I want you to think about that. The National League is going to be 150 years old next year. And Howie says they're going to cease to exist as we know them. The last move before total destruction of the traditions that made baseball great. And don't even get me started on the fact that pitchers no longer bat. Designated hitter came into the National League like that. COVID accelerated a lot of this. COVID, the pandemic was so fucking weird. All kinds of weird shit was happening, and then changes were made. NBA, coaches stopped wearing suits and ties. That's because of COVID. A lot of the stuff in baseball was greased. The wheels of change were greased by COVID. But I want you to look at what we could be looking at here as our possible realignment. Jim Bowden, former general manager of the Cincinnati Reds, says he's proposed his own realignment here. So this isn't necessarily what's going to happen, but this is a baseball insider thinking probably along the lines of what Rob Manfred is thinking, saying that we're going to have an Eastern Conference. Please tell, we're not even going to call them leagues anymore. Okay. Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, and Phillies. Let's get all the most annoying fans in the same division, at least, Tim. What do you think? Let's just let the assholes battle it out in one division.
That would be a good undercard, good UFC card.
The North Division, which is immediately weird. Reds, Guardians, Tigers, and Blue Jays. Hey, listen, there's nothing that says baseball tradition like a Reds-Blue Jays game on a sunny July afternoon. Is there? The Mid-Atlantic Division.
It's the Norris division.
Oh, my God. We should name them after people, at least. Have the Babe Ruth division and the fucking Walter Johnson division and the Jackie Robinson division. The Mid-Atlantic would be the Orioles, some fucking expansion team from North Carolina, the Pirates, and the Nationals.
Bring back the Expos.
Boy. Man, there's nothing Orioles fans probably could get up more for than, a season full of games against Charlotte, the Pirates, and the Nationals. Southeast Division will be the Braves, the Marlins, a Nashville expansion team, and the Rays. Do we have the Western Conference, Tim?
Good God, what a train wreck. You're right about
I'm watching this.
Such annoying
like
fans though, if you had
movie.
Philly, Boston, and New York. Good God. I'd never bring my daughter to a game. Oh my God.
That is just the ultimate asshole off that we've ever seen. All right, let's look at the Western Conference. Cubs, White Sox, Brewers, and Twins. Well, the only thing I like about that is that the Cubs will be kicking the shit out of the White Sox. Unless Jerry Reinsdorf pulls his head out of his rectum. Southwest Division. The Astros, Royals, Cardinals, and Rangers. Well, the Royals and the Cardinals and the Astros and the Rangers pair up well, at least, I guess. The Pacific Coast Division. The Giants, the Mariners, the A's, and the Rockies. In the Western Division, the Diamondbacks, Angels, Dodgers, and Padres. I love how Manfred says, the players, we need to reduce the travel. What the fuck are you talking about? They play 81 road games a year. They take private jets everywhere in an era where you can fly across the country in, 4 hours on a private plane, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for them like they're the fucking whammer traveling around America on a train? Well, friends, fantasy football is almost here, and the Toronto Blue Jays, like many of us, enjoy fantasy football, and they've got a creative way of determining the draft order. You can see here the commissioner of the league, Dalton Varsho, with an idea. Tim, why don't you join me here? Let me bring in Ricky Cobb's show, senior fantasy parachute man correspondent.
So amazing.
Producer
Good
Tim
for them.
of the program.
Good for them. Give credit to their equipment guy. So each
what's
player.
The concept here?
Yeah, so it's sort of like closest to the pin, if you will. So that's their equipment guy up top. Each player has a number written on the parachute guy, and obviously closest to the bucket determines your fantasy draft order. Scherzer actually pitched this game. He was starting. He was out there having some fun, but pretty wild, as you could see, sort of like closest to the pin at a golf tournament, and away we go. I will say there's a lot of ways to determine a draft order. I have not seen this. And look, the Blue Jays are winning, so they can do shit like that. That's for sure.
Do you think anybody plays in CFL fantasy leagues in Canada, Tim? I know it's not their season, but
one steamboat, two steamboat. Did you ever play? I played touch football in Toronto a few times. Have we had this conversation?
Did you now?
Instead of one Mississippi, two Mississippi, it's steamboat. It's one steamboat, two steamboat, three. I kid you not. Yeah.
One Trudeau socialism, two Trudeau socialism. That's too long, though, isn't it? That would give them
I don't know where they got the blue soldier, though. Did you ever see the blue parachute soldier? I haven't.
I never saw the blue soldier. Is that an American? Is that from somebody else's army? I like the green soldiers, Tim. When I was a kid, you get the bag of green soldiers. We get them at Houchins, the grocery store. I remember. Here's my favorite one. I like the army guy who's just chilling on the phone, Tim. I like to imagine he's saying, "Hey, baby, I'm in some stupid kid's battle right now, but I totally want to come over later. Got to go now. We're taking fire for some Fisher-Price little people. Love you, boo." And she's thinking to herself, he's fucking another woman. He's like, no, I swear to God,
smiling.
I'm in a battle with Weeble Wobbles.
Right, he's smiling. If he's calling in ordinances, I don't know how much he's smiling. Look, they were my favorite in Toy Story, though. I think the Army men were really some of my favorites.
Yeah, the Army men were great. Now, this guy got a much better deal than this guy. You don't want to be this Army man. Tough day for this motherfucker. You open up the bag and you're already a man down. This guy got brained before you even had a chance to play with him.
Never
Obviously
selling a toy like
some-
that today. Never selling anything like that today.
Taking some fire from the Japanese, no doubt, is what I would say there, Tim. Somebody got him. I don't fucking. No, yeah, that's tough, dude.
Yeah.
I don't remember him. In fairness, like
I don't
don't
either.
remember ever getting that guy in my bag.
I asked. It's funny you say that. When
yeah.
I asked my older brothers if they remember this. I thought maybe it was a generational thing, but they don't remember a guy getting his head blown off either.
My other favorite one is the guy who's like he's like the mine detector guy, but it looks like he's got a Swiffer. If you just see it, that's also on the Mount Rushmore of my Green Army Men tweets, Tim, which apparently I'm realizing here in real time. I've tweeted a lot about Green Army Men.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.